Good.
Go ahead, let's take people a little bit to come on. So I'm interviewing you, so you can go live.
I am live.
Okay. And I'll be right back.
Hey, Olivia. Hey, TT. Hey. About to do a live video. Waiting on Mr. Jones to come on and join us. But see, but it's 9:30. Oh, we're chit-chatting.
All right, so let's get this thing started here. There are a lot of real estate agents not agents, my bad. There's a lot of real estate investors who are really going to get a kick out of this because there's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes when it comes to one of the most valuable commodities, and that's your real estate investments. As a real estate agent who has been doing, I'm not saying agent tonight, as a real estate investor who's been doing this for 15 years now, 12 years without a job. I'm setting up investments and never really having to file a claim. So this bit of information is something that is imperative. It's very important to the people who have actually been out there filing claims. And there's some things that are going on that you've been missing. There's some things that you just don't know. And what I've done is I've actually pulled aside a real estate claim adjuster who has how many years?
15.
15 years experience in doing this. And what we do here inside of the Women's Business Lyceum is we work with women who actually have gifts and talents that they want to put out to the world. What I've been doing for over a decade now is helping people to take whatever their passion is and to actually turn it into profit. So I'm really, really good at sitting down with a person 5 minutes and really just asking some key questions. And out of those key questions, actually putting together a plan, a blueprint that consists of what it is that you're passionate about. And most people don't know what they're passionate about. And you find that most people don't have the success that they would like to have because they don't even know what they want. So by sitting down with a person for 5-10 minutes tops, I can actually pull out those things that they've been passionate about from conception, from birth, and show them how to take those same gifts and those same skills and monetize it. As a businessman, I've written my own book and sold 100,000 copies of it all by myself, no publishing. And right now what we're going to do is we're going to line up not only Mary, but some other women who we have with us also. We just started up the group for the men also for the Black Man Network. What we're doing with the Black Man Network is we're showing guys how to get in and start investing, showing them how to flip these properties, showing them how to set up their trusts for their families. We have Olivia, who's right there also, who's joined our nonprofit organization where Olivia's been doing shoe drives out in California for years. And one of my gifts, once again, I can spot talent. I'm like a talent scout, right? I can scout talent, and I can, being that fearless person that's not afraid, that's been out there, that's made mistakes, that is falling on my face flat, not afraid of what other people are going to say or think. I'm actually showing other people how to do the same thing. So we have Olivia over there on my screen. I don't know who's on your screen. Okay, how's Olivia on both of our screens? How's she on both of ours? I don't know how that works, but when we talk about doing this, it's just a wonderful thing, to be able to teach. Show women. You see what's going on in the back groups, how women are getting psyched up and charged to do their thing, right?
I recognize that it's just so many talented women out there, and just to see them evolve and into their greatness and see what they're passionate about, and just to see them continue and writing their books and just with their sites, and it's just amazing because I'm looking at it and everything is just coming together. It's so great.
So what we want to do tonight, as a real estate investor, knowing Mary and watching her and listening to her talk about the perils that other real estate investors are having when they call in. Do you know, like, one of the most important things as a real estate investor is for us to be able to protect our assets. And if you don't know how to protect your assets, or you're leaving your assets in the hands of somebody who's not qualified, and I'm talking about property insurance agents.
The agents.
Right? Yeah. So a lot of these agents out here don't know what they're doing, and they're not giving you the correct policy. And that is very detrimental. So you may be in a position where you have a house and now there's a windstorm and you think that you're covered for it, but you just wanted to pick the cheapest policy, and now you're not covered for anything. So now you have $50,000 worth of damage. You could have been getting paid, but now you're not going to get paid. So what we want to do is talk about some of the things, some of the questions, some of the calls that Mary actually gets in, and see if we can break it down from the homeowners, right? Because there's homeowners out here. Everyone's not a real estate investor, but the homeowners out there who have certain questions that your insurance agent may not know or may not tell you the truth, because all she's looking to do is get a commission. And I'm not saying that every single real estate, I'm sorry, I keep saying, I'm tired today.
Right.
I'm tired.
It's kind of late. It's kind of late. It's kind of late.
I've been going all day. But every single person who, just because they get their license, doesn't know what they're talking about. And Mary's been doing this for 14, 15 years strong now. So she knows the ins and outs. So what I want to do is I just want to go over some things. And, if there's some real estate agents out there and you have some questions, real estate investors, and you have some questions about something that you may have heard from here, we're going to give you some information on how to reach out to Mary, because she's actually writing her book right now. I'm super proud of her. She's writing her book, and we're going to help promote that book and put her in a position where, as I'm going out doing these seminars around the country, that we'll do these events for real estate investors, and you'll have a pro right here who can show you how to it's not just about saving money, but it's about not losing money also. And when you have the wrong real estate policy, the wrong insurance policy, you could be doomed. You could set yourself up for financial losses that may not be the best for you.
That's right.
So with that being said, Mary, just tell a little bit about what you do, how long you've been doing it, where you work, and tell a difference between your job as an adjuster and the job of an insurance agent.
Okay. I've been doing this for about 15 years now. 14, almost 15 years. And I'm a property claim adjuster. I do strictly property insurance. And I've been working for a company for about 2 years, but I still do the same job. I'm working for the company that I used to work for, but as a third-party administrator. And as an insurance adjuster, my job is to interpret the policy. The agents are the ones that actually, put the customer with the an insurance company, and their job is to find the best policy for that person. A lot of times, some people, when they go to agents, they want the cheaper policy, but the cheaper is not always the best policy, and then in the long run, it could cost you so much money. My job is, once I get because I work for an insurance company, we do certain policies. My job is to interpret the policy and, pay claims. So it's interesting. No, none of my claims are the same. It seems like, different kind of insurance and whatever. I have a lot of investors and I have a lot of property owners. So it's different policies for each. But that's what my job is.
So it's fair to say that there are some things behind the scenes that a new real estate investor wouldn't know to ask.
Right.
And I heard you mention cheap policies. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the perils of having just that cheap policy, just enough to get by, because that's what people are probably going to be looking at. And then even before we get to that, what I like to do is I like for you to just delve in a little bit more on what you mean when you say your job is to interpret the policy. Because there's a big difference between an insurance agent that just wants to sell you a property, then you have the person right here that reads the policy. She's the she knows the law of the properties, of the insurance, of the claim. So
okay, well, insurance adjuster, as I said before, is to interpret the policy. A lot of people don't read their policies and don't even know how to read a policy. So my job is to really just, if you file a claim, and to make determination on whether or not coverage is going to exist on your policy. So you have some policies that's open peril policies that mostly everything is covered unless it's specifically excluded from coverage. Then you have what is called named peril policies, which is most of the time those policies. So my job is basically to get the policy and make a determination of coverage.
Okay, so you're getting the thing and making a determination of coverage. And what are some of the things that maybe a person who's looking for a policy for an investment property, we'll start with an investment property. And then I'm even going to want to know what some of those calls sound like from a real estate investor who thinks that he's covered for wind damage, fire, or whatever the case may be. And if they don't have a certain type of policy, they're going to be SOL, right?
Right.
So let's just talk about that.
Okay. As I said, there's different type of policies. A lot of the cheaper policies that they offer doesn't cover as much. And I get a lot of calls with real estate investors. One of the things you should always have on your policy is vandalism coverage. And the reason that I say vandalism coverage is because when you have these investment properties, people don't take care of your property like you take care of your property. So when you put these tenants in these properties, especially in the state of Michigan, I noticed that you put the tenants in the properties and what do? They don't pay their rent and they destroy your property like you did something wrong to them because they didn't pay their rent, So it's one of those things, but some investors don't know to put that on there. All they think is fire.
Okay. So what is a vandalism policy?
Okay. It's a specific name peril policy, but it's a basic policy, and you can have what is called just a fire only policy, but then you can have one which is a FL1 or DP1. That's what they call it under some other policies, but it's extended coverage. So you can have extended coverage, which include windstorm, vehicle, or something like that. But if you add vandalism, it's an additional fee. So you can have a basic fire, then you can have extended coverage, but then vandalism. You have to specifically request vandalism.
Okay, so if that real estate investor has a basic policy and doesn't have vandalism, what might some problems be?
If a tenant destroy your property, guess what? You're not going to be covered.
Now,
it's not going to cover it.
Now, I heard you say that. Now, is that the homeowner's or the investor's responsibility, or is that the responsibility of the tenant to get tenant insurance or renter's insurance?
Well, that's two different types of policies.
What?
Yeah, it's two different types of policies.
Hold up. I didn't know that. So I can imagine, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg of the things that we don't know as entrepreneurs, as real estate investors. We don't know the different policies. We're so into, let's just get it done. Let's just get it the cheapest, the basic. And I also want to talk about this deductible thing also.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know that drives people crazy. And you get a lot of angry investors calling you when it comes to that, right?
Yeah.
So we're going over the outline of some things. Mary's going to have a new book coming out. She's going to have a new book coming out. She's going to be on seminar scenes with me, coming around and our real estate investment seminars and actually giving people the real deal. Because 9 times out of 10, you may get a real estate, you may get a property, insurance agent that doesn't know how to interpret the law. The policy, which we call the law, right? So let's do that. So we have a couple of things. So we just found out that vandalism, meaning if the tenant vandalizes or if someone else comes in and breaks in, if I just have a basic policy, my investment property is not covered.
Not if it doesn't have that vandalism peril on it. You have to have vandalism.
Now, when I'm talking to the real estate, and I'm talking to the property, and I'm talking to that agent for the insurance agent, will they tell me that if I don't ask? And I can't ask if I don't know.
Well, I think some of them, like I deal with some agents that are really in it to help people get in the right policy that suits their needs. So in saying that, some agents do, especially if you tell them you're an investor, some of them will recommend policy of making sure you add the vandalism coverage on a property that's occupied. Now, keep it in mind, a lot of insurance companies won't insure your property with vandalism if it's not occupied. It has to be an occupied dwelling. It has to be tenant, someone in there living there, in which the vandalism coverage can be added.
So what you're saying, but if I hear you correctly, you're saying that if I have a property that I bought from maybe a land bank or from a tax deed sale, and I'm buying them in bulk, if I don't have tenants inside of those properties, I can't get it.
Most insurance companies won't put it on there. They'll give you a policy. They'll give you fire coverage. They'll give you extended coverage. But vandalism, because of the likelihood of somebody coming to that house because it's not occupied, think about it. We're in the state of Michigan. I'm not it exists everywhere, but it's
each state is going to be different. Right now, we're talking specifically about Michigan.
Right. So Michigan, because of there's a high theft rate. People come in your house and might destroy it until as long as they know it's not occupied. Once that property becomes occupied, and this is where my problem come in at, they'll give you a policy, but they won't have vandalism on it. And then they say, hey, once it becomes occupied, let us know and we'll add the coverage. Well, guess what? A lot of investors do not add that coverage once it becomes occupied. So
okay. Let's slow down. Can you just bring that back? Let's slow it down, because you know this. You do this every day.
Oh yeah, layman. I'm sorry.
The average person who's trying to figure this out needs to. I'm saying to myself, okay, I need basic coverage? What is basic coverage? What's included just in basic coverage?
Well, basic coverage would basically cover your home in case of a fire, because you could get just a fire policy. That's all they cover for you, fire. Then you could get a policy to add extended coverage. And what extended coverage is, say like if it's an unoccupied dwelling, but the wind might blow the roof off or something. We've been having a lot of windstorms, as you may have noticed. And so you can have windstorm coverage. You can have vehicle in case of vehicles. Some people have to stay in corner houses. A vehicle could hit your house or something like that. And something like that.
Are we still in basic?
Yep, that's basic.
Okay, let's see. A car can hit me. I'm covered.
Yes.
Someone can break in. I'm not covered.
No.
Okay.
No.
A tree falls on me under basic.
Windstorm.
I'm not covered?
Yes.
I am covered if a tree falls.
If it's wind, yes.
If it's a windstorm, I am covered.
Yes.
Okay. So if it blows off my roof, I'm covered.
Yes.
With basic.
Yes. If you have that extended coverage. So keep it in mind.
Okay, so it's basic with extended.
Yes.
Okay, no. I just want to know basic.
Basic would just be fire. Fire, lightning, or explosion.
What type of deductible is a real estate investor looking at? What are their options under just in a basic? I want to just break this down step by step.
The company that I work for, they offer deductibles from $100 to $10,000.
Okay. What does it mean if I have a $1,000 deductible on a property that I may have got for dirt cheap from a tax deed sale?
Well, that's just it. It doesn't matter where you get the property from. If you have $1,000 deductible, and people don't understand deductibles. Deductible is what you agree to pay in case of a loss. Mm-hmm. So they have to really marinate on that. This is what you agree to pay in case of a loss. The biggest difference between auto deductible and property deductible is if we pay you, you don't have to give us $500 to get the money. We'll take the money off the top, if you understand what I'm talking about. So if your estimate is $13,000 and you have $1,000 deductible, we're gonna give you $12,000. Whereas with auto, you got to pay into it. So that's how that works.
Okay. All right. So I'm understanding what basic is.
Okay.
Now, what is this extended? What is added on? And this is something that this is very important, that every real estate investor should have a grasp on, because you're going to find yourself, as Mary's going to get into some phone calls a little bit later, you're going to find yourself in a position where you think that you're covered, and you're going to be in a quite a pinch where you're either not going to get the money that you thought, or you're going to be paying out a whole lot of money. Now, making money and saving money to me is the same thing, and that's what an insurance adjuster can help you do, because she's going to break down the law. Losing money is something different. Now, you may not get all of this, what you're going to get from an insurance agent who's selling that, because speaking of that, how do they get paid?
Oh, agents get paid on per writing policy, 10% of the policy.
So if I'm not having a great month and I need some money, and an investor comes to me, where would that person try to steer them? Are they going to really give them the best thing, or do you think they might just kind of tend to lean towards what's going to be most suitable for their pocket?
But keep it in mind, the best policy is always going to be the one that costs the most. So they're going to, of course, they offer, it depends on the person, meaning their pockets. Because like I said, some people go into the agent and say, well, I want the cheapest coverage possible. The agent's thing is, okay, well, what can you afford? Well, this is what it is. And they got to tell them a little bit something, but at the end of the day, if you're getting a cheaper policy, long as they write that policy, they're going to get 10% on whatever they write.
Okay. So the cheapest policy, is that just the basic policy?
Right.
Okay. So we have basic cover. Now, when we talk about extended, what are we looking at per month? And then what are the benefits under that?
But see, from my perspective, of course, you could pay, like, I'll give you an example. My dad, he has a basic extended coverage with vandalism added. So with a basic policy, it may be like $800 or $900. But then when you start adding things, it may be $1,100 or $1,200. And then when you add the vandalism, it's probably like an extra $100 or something a year to add vandalism. That's why I don't understand why some people will. So it could go from $1,000 to $1,500, but you plan for that extra security.
Okay. Now, for the investor who doesn't live in that property, what do you recommend that would be if there could be a just a typical policy for an investor? What would you recommend so that we're covered if a tenant destroys it? We're covered if it's sitting there empty. What would you recommend for something like that?
Well, of course, I always would recommend if it's occupied by a tenant, like I said, the vandalism coverage should automatically be a must, because even if that tenant don't destroy it, you're paying for that security in the policy.
Let me ask you this. Is the vandalism an alternative to my tenant not having renter's insurance? If my tenant has a flood in my apartment, does my vandalism cover that tenant?
No. Actually, a lot of policies don't cover flood. So, but the purpose, like I notice now, a lot of times in the state of Michigan, they are requiring investors, when they put somebody in their property, they're requiring their tenants to get renter's insurance. They're requiring their tenants to get renter's insurance. And the plus side to the investor is, if that tenant burn your house down, you can go after their insurance carrier for the money to fix your house up.
Okay. With or without vandalism, if my tenant has damaged my property, as the owner of the property, I can still go after the tenant.
No, it's different. It's kind of different. With renter's insurance, it becomes the liability, like sudden and it'd be like if they burn the house up cooking or something like that, it has to be accidental. It could be a liability issue. It doesn't, if it's not intentional, you could go after the tenant's insurance company. Okay,
it just brings to mind this question. I have a home and I'm leasing it out to a Section 8 tenant.
Right.
My Section 8 tenant is pissed off at me. Maybe I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. My Section 8 tenant has renter's insurance. I don't have extended insurance. I have basic insurance. That tenant is going to get paid by filing their claim if that house burns or if it's something that wasn't included in my basic insurance.
Fire is automatically included in all policies.
Fire's automatically included. In basic, it's included.
Right.
Okay. So can you give me an example where I might be screwed in a policy as the owner, but the tenant would still come off, and maybe I'd be forced to go after them if they were the responsible party?
Let me see. I could give you like careless cooking. Mm-hmm. Okay. Careless cooking, if the tenant burn your house down because they left the stove on or something like that, you could go after their insurance carrier for the damages to your property. That's
huge. I need you to repeat that again. That was careless cooking?
Careless cooking.
Okay, let's educate our investors, all right? Careless cooking, explain it again.
Careless cooking, say like, and this is, if somebody's cooking and they leave the stove on or something like that and they burn the house down, your insurance carrier could go after the tenant for the damages to the property.
So the tenant's insurance company would be covered, their policy would be covered under their renter's insurance. They're going to get reimbursed from their company. I can come after their company.
Yeah, you could go after your tenant. But, I should have said that, but it has to be in the lease. You have to write it.
Oh my God, that's powerful.
It has to be in there.
Do you guys, listen, we bring you the best information on real estate. We bring you the best information on marketing. That needs to be restated. It has to be in your lease.
It has to be in the lease.
If it's not in the lease, so when that accident happens, that fire happens, the tenant's insurance company that I'm going to go after is going to say to me, I need to see your lease.
Yeah, always ask for the lease agreement. Always ask for the lease agreement.
Okay. What else when I'm looking to get some money, I want to collect some money, some type of damage, forget about the tenant right now. I have the extended. Is that the absolute best service?
For the investors.
For the investors. So we always want to have an extended policy on our basic, which includes, again, what does that include?
It could include windstorm, vehicle, things like that.
Wind, vehicle.
Right. Sinkhole, lightning, smoke.
Okay. Now, you did say that floods are not covered. So what do I need to do to get flood insurance? Is that just a separate flood insurance policy?
There is no flood insurance. Like with the company that I have, there is no flood insurance. And actually, a lot of companies do not have flood insurance at all.
So I'm just SOL. We're just right. SOL.
Right. And see, some people don't understand that, and it's a lot of policies specifically exclude water damage.
So we're thinking about Hurricane Harvey. We're thinking about Louisiana, people's waters up above there.
No, it's not going to.
The insurance doesn't cover it?
No.
So that is why FEMA kicks in?
Yes, that's exactly why FEMA kicks in for those areas.
Okay.
That's hard.
So if we're not covered, and it's not a nationwide, not a whole neighborhood that's been exposed, it's just my house, what do I have to look forward to as the property owner? That my house has been flooded. You're telling me now that it's not covered, and we're talking about Michigan right now. It's not covered under my policy. What do I do?
It's not covered. It's not covered.
Can I get AFLAC? Can I get AFLAC or something else?
No, but some policies, like I had one myself personally that would cover floods up to a certain extent. So you have to basically go to your agent if that's something that you require and that you're looking for. But as investors, because of them putting the tenants in there, there's not a lot of, the one company that I was with that do cover it up to a certain amount, they don't write for investors policy. See, some companies don't write for investment policy.
Wow. Hey guys, once again, if you're just coming in right now, I'm sitting here interviewing Mary Chatmon. She's a 15-year expert on insurance. She's an adjuster with the company here in Michigan called Michigan Basic, and she really pretty much interprets policies for people. And she tells me about a lot of phone calls that come in from angry investors, right, that don't fully understand their policy. And Mary, you've even gotten into some little spats where you've had to check the agents, right?
Whew. Agents hate me. I think they really hate me. No, it's not that they hate me. What it is agents, they try to help the insured, but sometimes their interpretation of the policy is wrong. So and people who know me, I'm straight and to the point. Like I tell an agent, your job is to write the policy. My job is to interpret the policy. If you have a problem and if the insured is calling you, you direct them to me. Because a lot of times the agents develop relationships with their, customers. And what they do is they take me out of the equation because, see, I'm the big bad insurance company. And what their thing is, they think I just don't want to pay them. And my agent has got to be right because this is what my agent told me. And so the agents, when they call me, I have to tell them, direct your insured to me, the insured to me, and stay on my claim.
All right. Let's jump around. We're not obviously not going to be going to every single thing. That's what the new book is for, to really break down a lot of the things that can go wrong for real estate agents and real estate investors. I'm sorry, I keep saying agents for some reason. But there are some perils that come along with this, and we need to be educated. We need to know what's inside of our policy, what's not inside of our policy, because that can be the difference between someone losing everything out with the insurance or, having a basic when you should have extended, certain things that should be in your lease that shouldn't, it's just a whole lot of stuff that's going on.
Right. And some people they're not aware of it. So, yeah. But like I said, as an investor, I firmly believe you should actually require your tenant get renter's insurance on that property as well.
So make sure that they get renter's insurance on their property. And then you should also have basic with extended.
Yes.
Whatever extended is in your state. Now, it's going to differ from place to place. Mary's an expert here in Michigan, but this is definitely something that we can look at. What I'd like to do right now is ask you, Mary, what are some reasons or instances that a person would be denied a claim? An investor would be denied a claim, maybe because of something that they didn't know, that they weren't told by their rep.
Well, like I said, basically just having the wrong policy. If you have just a fire policy and you don't have those extended coverages on there, they have to understand they're only going to be covered for fire, period. You can't say, I didn't know, the agent didn't tell me, because ultimately it's your responsibility to.
Excuse me. Sorry. Did you guys have any insurance that needs to be taken out?
No.
It's your responsibility to interpret, get the policy that's best for you. And if you don't know, ask. And another thing is windstorm. My problem that comes in with the windstorm is, of course, some investors don't check on their properties. Tenants don't tell them there's a leak. They live like that for a while and it's leaking in there. And their thing is, I didn't know. Well, guess what? I didn't know is really not a good answer. So I would recommend that all people go to your property at least once a month. Check it out. Look around. See what's going on. Even if you're just riding past, that way you can see what's going on. And even if they're keeping up the property, but a lot of investors, some people don't even know, if you have a problem with a tenant paying. If the tenant is not paying your rent, I would definitely be going over there, checking on it occasionally. But guess what? Some of them don't check it. So there's a exclusion in the policy that if the property has been vacant more than 30 days in a row, there's no coverage for vandalism. And some people don't know that. So you have got to make sure that, especially if you got those tenants that's not paying, that they don't move out on you.
Okay. So with that being said, I have a property. My tenant has moved out on me. I haven't checked up on it. How does the insurance company know that my property's been vacant for 30 days?
More than 30 days. It has to be more than 30 days in a row.
How does my insurance company
know? A lot of times, of course, they're going to ask you, See, some people not smart enough to say, hey, they want moved out 2 weeks ago. Some of them are. But if they have a feeling, sometimes they'll ask the neighbors. And adjusters may ask the neighbors, well, how long this property been vacant? So that's their follow-up. How long this property been vacant? Hey, 2 weeks. A lot of times they'll just ask. But if they think the property has been vacant for a while, which some of them have been, then they'll do, we have resources. So we got investigators or whatever. We could pull utilities and stuff like that. So
let's talk about some dirty little secrets, some dirty little tricks. You have a lot of people that are filing fraudulent claims.
Oh.
And I just want to know some of the repercussions that the insurance company, what will the insurance company do? What can the insurance company do to block out attempted efforts of fraud from the real estate investors?
Well, the thing is, the insurance company, we don't prosecute or anything like that, not unless it, fires or whatever. But what happens is, if we feel like it's a fraudulent claim, under the policies that I have, we could bring them in for what is called an exam under oath. If I don't believe you, I spend a lot of time down in Michigan Basic, but if I have proof, the only time I really bring people in for an exam under oath is when I just can't. Your story is not matching. And believe me, a lot of times I do my investigation. So I investigate, but an exam under oath is not really to catch you up on fraud. What it is to ask further questions to make sure we're paying this claim that's supposed to be paid. So it's not like, oh, I'm sending you in for an exam because I don't believe you. What it is, if I have questions that need to be answered, then I might bring you in for what is called an exam under oath.
One thing I didn't know about, maybe it's just my ignorance, and I found out about this from you, is, guys, if you're just tuning in right now, I'm actually doing an interview here with a 15-year expert in property insurance. Mary's an adjuster, and what she's doing right now is she's completing her book to come on seminars with us. We are close to Madison Square Garden now. We'll be filling out Madison Square Garden, and she'll be on stages with us, and we'll be doing our thing in front of other investors. And really, you want to help other investors do what? What do you want other investors to know? Why is this book being completed?
Well, I want people to know, basically, to just really choose the right policies that suit your needs, the ins and outs of the policy, because it's so important that you understand the policy. I wanted to also touch on the fact of with Michigan, a lot of policies, I don't know if you noticed, people buy insurance policies for life, and you get a $100,000 policy in case somebody die, right? Mm-hmm. But you could go get a $100,000 policy on your house, and guess what? You don't get face value. I guess that's my biggest point. Be like, I've had some people, I have a $100,000 policy. Where is my money? But guess what? It's market value. So I would suggest that anybody get the value of your house. If you do appraisal or something like that, you should always get the value, because Michigan is not going to pay you more than what the house is worth.
Right. I understand that. Something that is still kind of blows my mind a little bit. I kind of know a little bit more about the backs of the insurance companies now, speaking with you, knowing that you guys have an attorney in-house, right? You do your own investigations whenever someone is trying to file a claim, and if you don't believe it, you're going to call them in, right? What I didn't know is that you can just sue the insurance company whenever you want for whatever reason, right? And now how is that whole litigation handled?
What do you mean as far as?
You deny my claim.
Oh yeah, okay.
I have the right to sue the insurance company, which I never did.
Yeah, you can. If I deny your claim, which if I do deny the claim, you have a right to go back and sue the insurance company for what you think you deserve. Michigan, well, the company that I work for, I think you have up to a year, which is 1 year to file suit against the insurance company. Yeah.
So how does that work out? I have a claim. I tell you that, let me just go off one of the stories I've heard you say. I had $50,000 worth of Jordans in my in my closet, and I call you up and say, someone broke in my house and stole $50,000 worth of Jordans. You mean to tell me that a tenant inside of my property can get $50,000?
If it's a claim, it's
I never knew that.
If they break into your tenant occupied dwelling and the tenant has renter's insurance, then they could file a claim against for their personal property. Yeah.
Jordans?
It's their shoes.
PlayStation 2?
That's theirs. It's their contents. That's their personal property. So they can file a claim.
Does that ever come back to bite the insurance, the homeowner, because there are these claims on the property, or is it just tracked to the tenant?
It's tracked to the tenant. What we do is we send what is called a pillar out. And see, some people get afraid to file claims because there is a tracking system on how many claims a person filed. So that's why some people on the outside market can't get insurance with some companies because they're like, you're too high of a risk. You had too many theft losses or something like that. So people tend to watch the claims that they file, but there is a tracking system in which anytime a claim is filed, we'll do a pillar on it. So we can see if that person filed how many claims. So
and that is basically insurance wide, where you can, if you jump from here to here to here, no different than if you had, insurance in your car.
Right.
Every insurance company can track that.
Right.
Okay. Some good info right here. Give us some examples of some of the crazier phone calls that you get from people expecting some claims that you may have denied.
I get calls all the time, and I tell anybody my job as a claim adjuster is to find coverage. I'd rather pay a coverage claim than to deny it. I'd rather pay a claim than to deny it. And I think some people think, oh, you work for the insurance company. I don't get a commission. I get paid, period. I get salary straight across the board.
That's why the person should talk to you instead of talking to that insurance agent. So you're saying once that insurance, that agent actually gets you, the rest really, they should come to you for interpretation.
Exactly.
So you'll interpret, someone like you in any city, in any state, you'll interpret the policy for them. You'll even check or correct the agent who doesn't know it like you know it.
Right.
And then you also you cut the check.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So as a real estate investor, do you find that real estate investors try to befriend you?
I've had a couple. I've been invited to dinner and all that other stuff because, they want to be my friend. They want to know, what I know. But, of course, that conflict of interest, so I can't really, do all that. But, yeah, some people want to be in, get the good scoop or whatever.
What are some of the things that real estate investors want to know from you?
Well, of course, we talk about coverage. I think they just really want to end with the insurance company because, see, my job is to pay claim. My job is to pay claims. So their thing is, hey, if I got to end, I know if she come out to my property, I might, be able to get over a little bit. But most of them are pretty cool. I don't think everybody think that. Some people want good recommendations for contractors, we know contractors that do work, but they want to make sure that their claims, I guess, basically taking care of them.
Now, what I want, as we wrap this up, what I want to know is I want to know what's the scale that you use to determine when the adjusters or when the guys come out that work for you, how do they determine if they're going to pay on the low end of that roof job or the high end? Is there a scale that they go by? And how does that work?
I wouldn't even say it's a scale. Well, it just goes off the amount of damages. Well, to me, and I just do a windstorm claim. If you only have a patch of roof that's missing, we're going to pay for those missing shingles. But if you got patch here and patch there, then I'm going to pay for the whole slope. So it just depends on the insurance company. I deal with basic insurance. Some people, depend on the insurance company that you're with, they may pay for your whole roof to be replaced. I've heard that so many times. Well, my neighbor got a whole new roof and you're just paying for this, So it depends on the policy you have. Because the company that I work for, they have basic policies. So they pay for actual damages. Well, you're not going to drive a Hyundai, pay for a Hyundai and get Mercedes Benz. It's just not like that. So you're going to get what you pay for. You're going to get what you pay for. So if you're high end and you want more money.
So as we wind this down, there's a few takeaways that I think are very important for real estate investors around the country to know. Number one, the basic policy, right? You're only going to get paid for fire and wind. Well,
you can have just a fire, lightning, or explosion. One policy.
Okay. If we want to go above that, we need to add vandalism, which will include what?
It includes the extended coverage, like windstorm, vehicle, sinkholes, stuff like that. But if you have vandalism, you automatically have extended. But when you have extended, you don't automatically have vandalism. So keep that in mind. With extended coverage, with vandalism, you automatically have extended coverage. But with extended coverage, you don't automatically have vandalism. That's something that you would have to request.
And you mentioned something earlier about the lease. What is that lease wrapped around? Was that for the extended when you were saying that it?
No, that was for the rental.
Okay, that was for the renter. Mm-hmm. So whenever we have a tenant in our property, we should also have included in our lease what?
Well, whenever you should all request that the tenant have renter's insurance. They should have renter's insurance. And I'm a firm believer. When I started seeing that trend about 3 years ago. Before they wasn't required, now before any investor, not all, but a lot of them are catching on that they put the tenant in there and required that they get renter's insurance. So in case something happened to their property and they tied around in the lease, they put that, write the lease out. So in case something happened, then their company.
What if that tenant says, I don't want renter's insurance or I can't afford renter's insurance?
Then don't put them in there. If it's a requirement, you have to put it in your lease.
So as an investor, one of the criteria for bringing in a new tenant should be, do you have a problem paying a year up front for your and should that be a part of, can we say if that policy elapses, if that policy just goes dead, that's grounds for eviction?
I would say. But see, guess what? What they do, and I've seen this, is that they require proof. So it's this one, because like I said, I just recently started seeing the trend, but they require that they purchase it. And I've also seen the investor purchase it and have it as part of their rent, and they pay it. So they making sure that tenant is covered.
Okay.
So you can get it any way you want.
Yeah. But if they just flat out don't want to do it, we have the choice to actually put it for them and just jack up the rent another $25, $50
to make sure it's paid. Sure it's paid.
Now, also by saying that, if we're covering it, we're the beneficiary. Are we buying it for them, or are we an additional insured? How should we set that up?
Well, it's not actually, no, because it's for the tenant,
So but our name is not on that. The owner's name is not on it. Okay.
But what happened was, and this is how I see it, what they do is they have the tenant's name on it, and they have it mailed to their house for that address, but it's for the tenant, and the tenant's information, property, or whatever, but their thing is just to make sure that the tenant is paying it.
So my question is, can an owner be a additional insured on a tenant? No?
You can't have a rental property policy on a property you don't live in.
Okay. Right. No, I know that's going to be in the tenant's name.
Right.
but I can't have any interest? Okay, that's all I wanted to know. So with that being said, I mean, this is some good advice. You know, we look forward to your book. We look forward to you coming out to Madison Square Garden with us as well. We look forward to helping the other ladies who are doing it. A lot of the ladies now, we're growing, we're expanding. We now have the couple of different things going on. We have the show that goes on Wednesday mornings and Monday mornings, 9:30 a.m. For that, you can go over to flipmylifeshow.xyz. We have the Black Man Network, where we're teaching them how to get strictly into the doing the tax detail, which I did the video on earlier, showing you exactly how we're going to go get the excess proceeds money, the money in the front. And that's something that we're taking around, showing the men how to get paid off of that. We have your stuff. How can people who want more information reach out and get in contact with you?
My website is property insurance blueprint.info.
All right. So if you want more information and if you want to get access, get on the list for Mary's new book that will come out. I mean, if you just need some consulting, basically she is out of Michigan. We know every state has its own thing, but she does know about insurance. She's been doing it for 15 years. So what I like to do is I like to bring experts to you that can answer your questions as far as real estate, as far as business, as far as marketing. And basically, she's one of the best in the business. She knows those policies. Before we go, you've had stand downs with the other person's attorneys and have actually put them to shame because you know those policies inside and out.
Yeah. It's so funny, this one incident, and it's just one of those things. I went to court on a claim. I wasn't, the guy sued me, sued the company, and when we went in front of the judge, and the judge was saying something, I forgot exactly what he was saying. So at the end, the guy was like, well, we're not going to cover, we're not going to cover that. And he said, well, it's still some. He was telling them, we can still do this part. And I pulled out the little book and I was like, no, that's not covered either. He was like, what do you mean? I said, right here, the insured said, and I highlighted what the insured said. And the guy was like, dang, he was so mad because he's like one of the top attorneys in Flint. Actually, I have a lawsuit with him now, but he was like, he remembered me. He was like, oh my God, up against you again. I was like, one thing I'm going to tell you is I know that policy. I know it. So if you don't read it, that's on you. But he didn't know this thing he was talking about wasn't going to be covered. So he just knew he was going to get something out of all that hard work he put into that case. But he walked away with nothing. So he wasn't very happy. He told me I stopped him for paying for one of his little toy cars because he's one of these toy car guys, like putting them together and stuff. Like,
all right. So
but yeah.
With that being said, if there's any questions that anyone has, they can actually reach out to Mary at www. Get on her list. I mean, she's just a wealth of information and knowledge. Even if you're not in Michigan, I mean, she can basically still tell. She knows general insurance laws. And yes, there are some differences from state to state. But once again, what's to your site that they can go and just put their information in to find out more about what's going on? You can keep them up to date on different changes in policy.
Property insurance blueprint.info. And one thing, like he said, you can get on my calendar, but always keep your policy. If you have a question, I can look at the policy and, maybe help out. So, it's not, well, not to me, it's not difficult, but, to other people, some people just don't understand. Especially policy language, and it can be interpreted different ways.
Yeah, and if you're into this business and you're doing real estate, I mean, now, I'm even going to need your assistance with these apartment buildings. This is definitely somebody that you would want on a team. It's really not about what you know, it's about who you know. And whenever you have the opportunity to be around people that can add value to your life, you take advantage of it. And I just surround myself with good people who would never, ever quit. And once again, it's the whole black sheep to black lion. And I'm ready to see you blast off and do what you do, because I know that you can help a lot of the investors, not just here in Michigan, but outside also. So we look forward to seeing you out in more of the events. We have the event going on in North Carolina. We got another thing that's going to be going off in Georgia. We'll be back and forth in that whole area anyway. And, any way that you can be of assistance to them, I know that you will. Yeah.
Right.
So anything in just, they can't see that, only you can see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One thing I think we didn't touch on, we kind of put it out there, was about deductibles. And that's one thing I wanted to touch on just a little
deductibles.
bit. Deductibles. Like I said, the company that I work for, they offer deductibles from $100 to $10,000. Some people go on the higher end, and I see a lot of $2,500 deductibles coming through. And what I would suggest to you is really investigate how much it would cost, the cost difference would be. Because I know this one person who did that, and the deductible per year was only like $80. They went from basically having $1,000 policy to a $2,500 policy. And like I said, it's one of those, if you can't afford to pay $2,500 out your pocket, then don't get that high deductible, because on my end, it eats up most of your claim, and then you get mad at me because you chose that high deductible. So you gotta, gauge your pockets and understand that, the higher the deductible, hopefully we never have a loss, but in case you do, you want to be able to afford and put your house back the way that you want it to be put back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, this was a good time. I enjoyed you here. And what we're going to do on the next event, we're going to do a live, and we're going to bring in our queen of nonprofits. She's actually helped me put together, she's actually giving me the blueprint for the work programs that we have for men, for the work programs that we have for the abused women, for the work release program for men who were incarcerated that are coming back. And Sherry as well. Sherry's been doing that, and Sherry's actually taken us to a funding source here in Detroit. So everything has just been going according to plan. And this is what happens when you stay the course of a race and never give up. You always keep going forward. You always see that progress. So there's people that have come around that, how people are. They jump on, they jump off, and, we just keep going higher and higher and keep pulling other people up with us. And that's what it's ultimately all about at the end.
Right. And the biggest thing is just don't quit on yourself. Don't quit on your dreams. All things are possible. So just don't. The only way you fail is if you quit.
Absolutely. That's the only way. There's no such thing as failure. Failure only comes in quitting. And it's a shame because so many people quit on themselves. And it's a shame because I've talked to people with so much talent. And but at the end of the day, you can't do for somebody what they're not willing to do for themselves.
True.
At the end of the day.
True.
So with that being said, this was another good show. You can catch us Monday mornings, Wednesday mornings at 9:30 a.m. on the Flip My Life Show. You go to flipmylifeshow.xyz, flipmylifeshow.xyz, and you can get the information on the stuff that we're talking about. We just put out the Entrepreneur's Bible, and it has 10 commandments of success that people are going crazy over, and that's something that we give away for free to our members, and we're just going to keep helping people do their thing, and look forward to you finishing up your book and getting you out there, and you're in on some real estate deals, right? You want to just talk about that a little bit? You're in on a property with us, right?
Yeah, we have a property that actually I'm posting pictures of. We have a home on the west side of Detroit. It's a 3-bedroom. It's a full rehab, but I think it'll be a good investment property. So I'll post some pictures of that probably tomorrow.
Yeah. So everything that we do is fueled by real estate. And now we're just really helping people. We've set up a sales and marketing company, which we're bringing in salespeople to actually help sell off on the seminars that we do. And everybody has a piece. This is the whole pieces of a dream concept. Everybody has a piece. And, when you can find people that won't quit no matter what is said, no matter what is done, there's just people that have a dream, people that have a goal, people that are looking for something more in life. And at the end of the day, like Will Smith said, Mary, you could be smarter than me. You could have more this than me. You can look better than me. You can have more money. But at the end of the day, when I get on that treadmill, no one in this world is going to outwork me. And that's why we keep continuing to grow.
That's right.
All right.
One person at a time.
All right. So listen, can't really say I'm that thirsty, right? Because I've been sipping on some tea.
Kind of tired.
We've been doing lives. I've been helping people out all day. We've been putting the phone calls out. We've been setting up for the event here, for the event down in North Carolina. And tell me this. I just want to know, because you never really said anything. When I told you that we're going to be securing Madison Square Garden for that event, what went through your mind? Because you've known me for a long, long time, and you've known that there's one thing about me. I don't care what no one says. I'm going to win. I'm going to get to the finish line, and I'm going to bring everybody who's with me on my back. Black Superman.
When he said he was going to get Madison Square Garden, you know what I told him? I know, because his word is so powerful to me. A lot has changed, and like I told him, the passion that you bring, the things that you say, it resonates with so many people. And I think that, I know that it's going to be a sold out crowd. So when you said you was going to get Madison Square Garden, I was like, okay, I know, because I know you got this. So, and then the people, like you said, that you have around are awesome. A lot of wonderful ladies that's in the group, and they motivate me to be better. So it's, and I, like you said, Olivia with her nonprofit, she just took it and just started running. And so one day you did a live with her, and I was just like, oh my gosh, she got so much information. And so I shared her video because that's something that I was interested in. And then you have Angel with with the marketing and advertising. That's, like you said, that's the area that you're strong in, but she's stronger. So it's things that she brings to the table. Then you have Aretha, she's she's the nurse. So with the homes and stuff like that, she'll be a wonderful, great asset. And Janet, and you just bringing these women together and each other, motivating each other. Just wanting Cornelia, the lady with I love her. I love her motivation, and her voice is amazing. I wish I could talk like her and speak so. I love it. But yeah, so that's the golden voice woman. So and each person in their piece, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. And it's amazing. And like I said, Cecil is very big on personal development. I mean, it's like one of those. So he got me into it, as a mentor. He encourages it. And one thing he always say is, you could create the life that you want. You can create the life that you want. And I see you creating it all over. This is what you said you wanted to do. And it's just manifesting itself, and everything just keep on going and going and going. So
yeah, one thing about that is, when you start understanding personal development, understanding the power that you have inside of you, understanding the God in you, which forces you to do things, when you realize that there's this force inside of you, that all things are possible, that you can do anything that you put your mind to. And, a lot of people talk the talk. And I've always prided myself on taking advantage of opportunity and walking the walk. And no matter what type of adversity comes, there's always going to be a bounce back with me and anybody who's around me. And one thing that I know, I can look at a person and tell, just like that, how successful they're going to be. And it's by the way that they can handle adversity and bounce back from it. If you can bounce back, the quicker you can bounce back from adversity, the more successful you're going to be. But if you're the type of person that just listens to anything that everybody says, double-minded man, unstable in all your ways, you don't know which way to go, chances are you won't be successful, because you have to be able to handle criticism. You have to be able to handle people who don't follow through, people who don't keep their word, and still be able to keep going. You have to have strength for you and for other people. So, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. This is the whole pieces of a dream. This is what being a black lion is all about. There's nothing that's ever going to stop me. There's nothing that no one can say. And the only person in this world that can stop me is me. The only person in this world that can stop you is you. It never mattered what anybody else said. It never mattered what anybody else thought. That's why we just keep moving forward, and you keep seeing success after success after success after success. That's how it goes.
How it goes.
I don't see anything else. I don't focus on there's only illusions. I don't focus on illusions. We just do what we say. We write our goals down and we attack them. Nothing else. That's it. Nothing. There's nothing outstanding. There's nothing. There's no secrets. It's work. It's hard work. It's having a goal. It's having purpose, and it's surrounding yourself with good people who can help you to achieve your goal. If people aren't looking to add value to your life, like if they just want to, talk about the bad in the situation, you don't need those type of people around you. You even yourself, you said your circle is shrunk, like that.
And like they said, you can't have a positive life being surrounded by negative people. It's one of those things. Actually, a friend of mine, he'll probably he said he always look at the videos kind of later. He told me yesterday, he said, Mary, you smile all the time. He said, you got this glow. I was like, I'm glowing? He was like, yeah, you're glowing. He said, I could tell you got positive energy all around you, and I don't focus on the negative. And then even if negative things happen, I let it go, because that can't be a part of my life no more. It can't be a part of my life no more. So hopefully you got some good information, some good value. That's what we're always going to bring you. And once again, we have the show flipmylifeshow.xyz. We have the Black Man Network now. So that's blackmannetwork.info. We have, what is Olivia's site? Oh gosh, Olivia, put it up there.
Olivia, what's your site? Put your site up there.
Yeah.
Let's shout that out also. And we have a lot of other pieces in the puzzle as well, right? We have MakeExtraMoney.xyz. We have the Golden Voice Corporation now. We're looking for people who have that golden voice, people who would like to do makeovers. We're hiring people for the sales company now. I've always just looked for good people. That's what I've always done. I sit around and I watch people. I see who's going to do what they say they're going to do. And there's just so much, when you know that there's so much backing you, there's so much behind it, it's like it makes it almost impossible to not have what you want.
Yeah. And I tell anybody, just don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. So, and you're good. And it's never too late. Like Cecil he said it one time, and I just ran with it. It said you can start late and still finish great. And
absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. And just leaving it out in the famous words of Les Brown, it's not that we set the bar so high that we miss. Is that we set it so damn low and we hit it every single time. With that being said, hopefully you enjoyed this show here. A little bit thirsty, a little bit hungry, and I'm sleepy right now. Also, I've been going all morning. We've hit all our quotas for the day. And for those reasons, we're out. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.